The wind carried only dust and the odor of something long forgotten under a pale sky that hadn't seen rain in weeks. A person bound to a wooden cross stood in the center of a desolate wheat field with long-cut, bare stalks. A woman, not a scarecrow. Ghosts didn't exist in Colt Merrick's mind. However, he briefly believed he had seen one. Without warning, his horse slowed, hooves softly crunching across the earth's fragile stubble. As if to clear his memory's lens, Colt squinted and wiped a rough hand across his forehead. The human-like form was too still for a girl and inappropriate for a doll. Her dress hung down to her knees, sun-bleached and torn at the hem. Scratchy rope had been used to tie her arms outward. Although she had her face turned away, he could see that she was planted like a native, with her legs naked and injured. With a thud of decision, his feet struck the ground as he dismounted. His gradual approach was motivated by reverence rather than fear. This was nothing new, whatever it was. The ropes were deeply cut, the blood was no longer wet. But she still had something inside of her. Then she made a small head turn. As the wind tossed corn husks, her voice came hoarseo. "Will you complete the task they began?" Colt remained silent. Silence, a language he understood better than English, made his jaw tighten. He drew his knife slowly and carefully, not with a threat-like speed. Still, she winced. She said, "Don't untie me unless you mean it." "Yes, I do." His voice was low, like a faith-filled prayer that had been forgotten. With a compassion that seemed out of character for a man his size, he cut the ropes. Every thread gave way with a crack. She did not pass out when her arms fell. She got up. He was quite startled by that. As though the world were too bright, she blinked. Even in the absence of color, her lips quivered. With the burden of being noticed, not with terror, I said, "I didn't cry." "Not once? You also don't have to right now?" There was nothing unpleasant about their silence. It contained another substance that neither of them had requested. She didn't object as he led her to his horse. She just managed to hang on as she rode behind him. Her breath against his spine was like the tiniest, saddest form of trust he could feel. Colt didn't inquire about her origins. There are certain stories that can be known without being unearthed. Her skin was sunburned along the settler blouse's neckline. She didn't have her shoes. Her hands were icy and her quiet said louder than any admission could. He didn't tell them to make yourself at home when they arrived at his cabin. It would not have been true. The location hardly met the criteria for one. A simple shelter, with a slanted roof nestled into a hollow and a wood burner that seemed like it might die at any moment. He did, however, offer her water. He turned on the stove. He placed a biscuit on the table and left after she appeared too arrogant to beg for sustenance. While he was not looking, she consumed it. She didn't sleep in his bed that night. With her arms folded as though she were still bound, she nestled up close to the fire. He didn't inquire about her name. He did not present his own. Not quite yet. The time wasn't right. She remained there in the morning. Not disappeared like a burden or a dream, but rather came back to earth. The ashes were swept into a tidy pile. By her, that was her response. She spoke on the third day. "I refused, so they bound me." He was mending the fence. He continued to hammer. To whom? A man with a Landian whiskey scent. Colt avoided eye contact with her. Not quite yet. Kim brothers. 3 of them. Believed it would win favor with the family. "Did you do it?" She chuckled a little. "Only allowed me to see crows." He held the hammer for a moment longer than necessary. "Mabel, I'm chilly." Like something carved into a church pew, it was simple and outdated, but it matched her. Mabel remained. She didn't inquire about it. She was not required to. Some people simply fall into the empty spots where love once resided after they have endured enough silence. Ghosts were nothing new to Colt. 6 years prior, his wife had passed away during childbirth. The kid as well. Without asking, he buried them on a hill that continued to produce wild flowers. It still felt like furniture because he had since moved in with his dogs, tools, and a grievance. Mabel, however, was not grieving. She was unique. She prepared soup in response to him passing her a fresh bread. She repaired the damaged step after he left nails on the porch. They spoke to each other like rain in a desert. Infrequent, necessary, and never sufficient. The town became aware. They always do. Mrs. Clary's question in the general store was, "Too loud. Colt, is that the Scarecrow girl now residing with you?" He didn't respond. Simply took his flour and walked away. A week after that, Sheriff Tolan stopped by, slowly chewed his tobacco. "Merrick, are you certain you want a woman like that around? People converse." Colt looked over his shoulder. "When I buried my wife, people also spoke. Didn't correct them." The sheriff let out a sigh. "I'm just saying, when you allow some flames to burn, your entire roof is affected. She isn't a fire, the smoke after her." The sheriff didn't say anything. More, Mabel was stitching his coat inside. When she heard the door, her hands hesitated. She said, "You don't have to keep me. I can go." He answered, "You don't owe me freedom. I just gave you a place to catch your breath?" She nodded after blinking. "Maybe I'll remain a little while longer after that." They avoided discussing love. However, it draped like a cozy quilt between them. Each action added a new layer. "Did you ever want children?" she inquired one evening as she was sewing his gloves. His throat constricted. "I had one briefly." She put down the glove. She declared, "I'd have been a terrible mother." "That's what I was informed." "Whoever said that hasn't seen how kind you are to shattered objects." After that, she remained silent. However, she sung while she cleaned the stovetop the following morning. Only a hum. However, it was the first musical performance at that house since the previous time someone died there. The brothers arrived a few weeks later. They didn't knock. 3 of them on horseback, their gaze piercing with brutality, their boots dirty, their eyes worn like heritage. The sheriff stood back, arms crossed, prepared to turn away. One brother said, "We're here for the girl. She is a member of the family." Colt was standing on the porch with his cap lowered and no gun visible. "No, she isn't. We are descended from her. She is not yours to keep. She is not a piece of property. She cannot be taken." Mabel went outside. After washing, her apron was still damp. She was standing next to Colt, not behind him. Calmly, "You left me for dead. You embarrassed me. Tied me up in jest. What was kin in that? Dirt isn't worth you," the eldest sibling spat. "No one would desire you." Colt moved forward a single step. The air around his speech thickened, yet his voice remained unchanged. "So I'm glad I've been living in dirt for so long. When I see gold, I know it." A beat went by. The brothers turned to face the sheriff, but all the policeman could do was shrug. Being kind is not a crime. Without saying another thing, they departed. Dust behind them. Peace, not justice. Colt engraved her name into the porch beam next to his wife's that evening. When Mabel saw it, she remained silent. As if they were scripture, she simply traced the characters with her finger. She later put her hand over his near the fire. "I thought I've been turned into something no one could love," she said. "I believe that what you became was love." They didn't share a kiss. They did not weep. Like roots that have at last discovered soil that is sufficiently soft to support growth, they simply leaned against one another. No matter where you are, keep this in mind if you are still listening. The world won't always come to you. There are moments when it restrains you, abandons you, and watches you decay, but someone might pass by if you live long enough. Someone who has experienced the same level of loss and brokenness, and they'll stop if you're lucky, to remind you that you were never only a scarecrow, not to save you. You were always deserving of freedom.